What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 4 of my Texas Rangers Start Today series. Last episode, we started the 2022 season, and it did not start good. We started 5-12 at the end of the last episode, and it hasn't gone much better in between episodes. We are now 11-23 as of May 16th. Most of the stuff that was going wrong last episode went wrong in between episodes. The only thing that got better probably is our bats. Our bats have shown a little bit more capability, but we're still lacking a lot. We can take a look at the past few games here. We'll just take a look at the last 5, and I'll go over why specifically last 5. We lost 1-9 against the Yankees, 3-8, 3-7, 1-8, and 1-7. You know, we're giving up 7+ runs every game in the last 5, and we're only scoring at most 3. It's just not good at all. The offense and the pitching is not doing good. But before that, we were playing pretty decent. Starting with this Angels game, we won 17-2. Then we lost 4-7. Then we won 2 in a row. Then we lost. Then we won. And then right here, the 5-game losing streak started. I'm not saying it's only because of one thing, but there is a reason I think that our bats definitely slowed down. And that's because Miguel Sano got injured, or he had a 5-day day-to-day injury, and we didn't really have anybody to play first base, so I had to put him on the 10-day IL, which is why he has 5 days left. And so that is the main reason why I think our bats just haven't been going, because I've called up Nate Lowe to fill in at first base, and I've had him here, and he hasn't done too bad, but he hasn't been as good as I would want him to. Miguel Sano was doing pretty good in that 4th slot for us. I really liked him, and I'm hoping when he comes back we can pick up the bats a little bit. But I've made some moves, and there's some other messages here that I want to go over before we get further into the episode. Let's start with this. Giancarlo Stanton wins. I believe this is the American League Player of the Week, and then this one's the American League Player of the Month award. Either way, he was really, really good for us to start the year, and he's still doing really good for us. We can see down here, he's batting .302 with 16 home runs and 31 RBIs, and that's in 34 games, which is pretty impressive. He has slowed down a little bit, but he's still really probably our best bat, if not our second best, which is exactly why we brought him in, and I'm really happy with him. Next, we'll go over our first move that we made. We traded away Tim Meza. This is the start of us trading away our relievers. We have a lot of them that have value that just aren't needed, or they aren't performing how I want them to. So we trade away Tim Meza and Cody Bradford to the Chicago Cubs for Adbert. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but he's an interesting piece that I like. He's going to be a long reliever for us. The first game I had him, I let him start, and I believe he gave up a decent bit of runs. But every single other time that he's came in that long relief role, he's done really, really good. He strikes out guys at a high rate. He's just good. He has good stuff, good control. I like that. He's just going to come in and eat 2 to 3 innings, hopefully, when our starter can't last long enough, and be solid, maybe give up an earned run every once in a while would be fantastic, but I really like him as a piece. And then we also get Ryan Jensen here. He's another pitching prospect. He's 24. He throws hard. He has good pitches. I don't know if his stuff, movement, and control are going to be good enough for the major leagues, but he's a decent piece. Hopefully he can develop a little bit more. That'd be good. But I mainly just did this trade for Adbert here. He's very promising in my opinion, and I hope he can stay that way. Next, we can move on to Nick Birdie's injury. He's out 11 months. And, I mean, it's not a huge deal because our bullpen, we have a lot of depth there. I don't know if it's good depth, but we have a lot of depth. And he only played 3 games for us, 3 1/3 innings. Didn't give up a run. I was actually really looking forward to using him a lot, but I'm not too hurt by this. It's not a huge deal. Next, we move on to the next move we made. Spencer Howard was pissing me off pretty much, so I traded him away, along with Sam Huff, JP Martinez, and Josh Smith. And we get Tyler Wells in return and Manuel Rodriguez, as well as $500,000 in cash. The main piece I wanted back from this was Tyler Wells. He's pitching amazing. In one game already, he went 7 innings, only giving up 2 earned runs. He got the loss, but he pitched amazing. It's not his fault. We just didn't have the bats going. He's been really good this year as well for Baltimore. 2.34 ERA. 7 in 7 games is really good. I think he's going to be really good for us. I hope he can just be solid, even if his ERA doesn't stay in that 2-point-something range. If he could just stay below 4, I'd be happy if you compare it to the rest of our rotation. Manuel Rodriguez, he's a bullpen prospect for us. He might even be on the major league team this year. He throws hard. He has good pitches, good, well-rounded pitching ratings, actually. I think he could be really good for us. I don't know if he's going to get the call-up sooner than some other guys, but he's a really good piece that I got in this trade. And I think this is somewhat realistic for Baltimore, too. Spencer Howard's a little bit younger than Tyler Wells. Yeah, Tyler Wells is doing really good, but Baltimore isn't competing right now. So they get a younger pitcher with some potential still. They also get a potential at the catching position, even though they do have Adley Rutschman. He can play first base, Sam Huff can. He has a decent bat. He has potential still. So I think he's a good piece for them to acquire. I wasn't super excited to get rid of him, but, he was never going to be an elite catcher, I don't think, so I was fine with it. And then we give up 2 other prospects. JP Martinez, center field prospect. He looks pretty decent, but I didn't love him or anything. He's already 26, so I wasn't too worried with getting rid of him. And then Josh Smith, he was actually a shortstop prospect. It looks like they had him at third now, which I guess makes sense. He plays third a little bit better, but he was just a decent prospect. I didn't see too much in him. So I was fine with getting rid of him in order to get Tyler Wells to be a solid part of our rotation and really sure it up every 5 games, hopefully. Next, we have Colin McHugh signing a huge contract, $36.5 million over the 1-year deal with the Cardinals. I thought we'd be able to bring him in eventually, but he just kept asking for that much money, and there's no way I'm giving him that much money. So they go out and sign him, and hopefully he's not injured for too long for them, or that's a big waste of money. Next, we have Zach Thompson. I designated him for assignment and waived him, I believe, just because he was on a 40-man roster. He wasn't going to be on the major league roster this year, and I needed space for some other relievers to come onto the roster. And Kansas City actually claimed him, so we no longer have Zach Thompson, unfortunately. He looked really good, throws hard. He has good pitches, pretty well-rounded pitching ratings here, nothing great. So hopefully he doesn't end up being too good because that'd be a waste there, but we'll see. Next we have 2 days in a row, or two trades in 1 day that we made for 2 of our relievers, starting with Jose, traded to the Phillies. And in return, we get this center field prospect. He looks like he's going to be decent. He has good at avoiding Ks. Gap power's decent. Contact's decent. He's only 23. He has good speed, decent defense. The arm's not great, but everything else looks fine. Hopefully he can develop that contact a little bit more. Then I think he'd be a really good center fielder for us one day. Next, we have this trade. We traded away Jose Alvarado for Tristan Lutz, who isn't that great, but neither is Jose Alvarado this year. He looks like he's just going to be a well-rounded hitter. Avoiding Ks is a little low, but everything else should be around average. The defense is decent. Base running's average. There's nothing really that great about him. We also get $2.5 million in cash. Nothing else really to say about this deal. It's just really offloading pitching from the bullpen and hopefully getting some good prospects in return. We'll go over some stats real fast. So let's start with our starters. Francis Martez has come around recently. He has a sub-4 ERA now. We'll take a look at his game logs. Let's start with the 2 most recent games. 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts. It was a great game against the Los Angeles Angels. Then against Boston, he goes 6 2/3 for only 1 earned run and 6 strikeouts. Both really good games. Here, I believe, is when he got suspended against Arizona, only going one inning, 2 earned runs. I'm not sure if this was I think this was last episode. So you guys should already know about that, but he's done good in the last 2 games. He's definitely coming around. I hope he can keep up that hot streak that he's on right now. Next, we move on to Blake Snell. He is I don't know how to explain it. He starts out so good, and then he just falls off so quickly in games. We'll start with this one in Seattle. 4 innings, 5 earned runs. I believe he was in the 4th inning or 5th inning, I believe, and no outs, and he loads the bases on walks, and then the bases are loaded, and then he walks 3 guys in. That's what happened. And it's just so unfortunate that happens because he was pitching so good, As you can see, 8 strikeouts in 4 innings is really, really good, but then he just loses control and gives up a bunch of earned runs. And then, as you can see in this next game, 7 innings, only 1 earned run with 8 strikeouts is huge. That's what we need from him. But then he comes back the next game, 4 earned runs, 5 innings, the 4 walks. It's the walks that's a huge issue for him. I'm pretty sure his walk numbers are very similar to his strikeout numbers, which is not really gonna work in the majors. You can't walk a lot of guys and then expect to not give up a bunch of earned runs. So hopefully he can come back. I don't want to trade him just yet, but he might be a piece we trade later on because he does have a reasonably sized contract. Next we have Dane Dunning, who I gave another shot. He hasn't really proven that he deserves to be here once again. He had a decent little streak right here. These 3 games right here, starting with Arizona. Only 1 earned run in 5 innings, then 2 and 6, and then 2 and 4. All of those are acceptable for me, but then he gives up 6 and 4 innings, and it just falls off again. And, the start of the year doesn't help him at all, really. So he's still up in the air. He still has a chance to stay on this roster, but he is definitely the next one to get traded away or even just sent down for the rest of the year, and we might have to bring in another starting pitcher. John King has fallen off a lot since last episode. Just a lot of earned runs, especially in this one game against the Angels. 9 earned runs and 3 1/3 innings. I just left him in for as long as I could because I just knew we weren't going to win this game. I'm pretty sure it was 6 runs and then he gives up, or 5 runs and then he gives up a grand slam. So I just let him go in as long as possible. I wasn't really too worried about his ERA at this point. It's just too many earned runs here, and then this just 3-game stretch right here wasn't good. But most recently, he did go 4 innings of 1 earned run baseball, which isn't bad. That's acceptable for me. I'll definitely take that, especially with how our new pitching bullpen is looking. We have a lot of guys that can go longer innings now. We have 2 guys that I brought in as long relief guys. They can both go multiple innings, up to 3 probably. I'd say Adbert is more likely to go 3 than Clay, but we have guys that can fill those innings for us, which I like. And then we also have some really good middle relief guys. Justin Anderson, he hasn't been good this year. Almost every single time I put him out there, he gives up an earned run, if not more. He's honestly, I'm just going to send him down now so I don't have to worry about it after. Next, we have DeMarcus Evans has been really, really good. Against the Yankees, he went multiple innings. Most recently, he went 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, no earned runs, no hits, walked 1, which isn't a huge deal. He's been really, really good for us. I believe he hasn't given up an earned run yet since this game here against Los Angeles, and it was only 1. He's been really good for us. He's definitely staying on this roster until he screws up, basically. He's going to stay here. Jordan Sheffield's been really good, 2.77 ERA. He hasn't been as solid recently, but he's still a piece I trust to go out there in that 6th, 7th inning and hopefully keep us in the lead, even though we don't have a lot of leads. Jonathan Hernandez has been good for us. Joe Barlow hasn't had a lot of opportunities to make saves. As you can see, he has 4 saves in 8 innings. He's gone out a lot when he hasn't had to make the save just because we don't have a lot of opportunities for him to make the save because either our bullpen blows it before it gets to him or we're just in a lead that's too big for him to get the save opportunity. Clay Holmes has been pretty good. He had a sub-3 ERA, I believe, one of the last games. He gave up a lot. The very last game, he gave up 4 earned runs over 2 innings. That was one of those games when we were already down a lot, so I was not worried about him giving up a bunch of earned runs. Adbert's been a lot better than that ERA suggests. I really like him. Next, we move on to the lineup, where there's been a lot of up and downs here. Our highlight has been Stanton, 302, 16 home runs, 31 RBIs. Carlos Correa, 326, 405 on base, 8 home runs, 21 RBIs. And then it sort of jumps around in the lineup a little bit. We'll start with our center fielders, 276, 306 on base. He really is just out there to get on base and hopefully steal some bases. He has 10 on the season. He has a negative WAR right now, so that's kind of worrisome for me, but I'm hoping he can get on base just a little bit more, walk a little bit more. There's not really much else I ask from him. Then we'll go to Young Ho Lee here, 336 average, 377 on base. He has an OPS plus at 148, 5 RBIs, or 17 RBIs, 5 home runs. He's been really, really good for us. I'm so glad we brought him in because he is probably, he's fighting for the best hitter on our team with Stanton and Carlos Correa right now. They're a deadly trio right there, and I really liked it when Sano was right in this 4 slots. Then we have Correa, Stanton, Sano, and then Young Ho Lee. Like that's a killer 4 man like order right there. And then you have our center fielder getting on base sometimes and being a really good base runner as well. And then you got Josh Young right here. It was really good. Obviously, it's not as good now that we have no Sano. We also have Andrew Benintendi out with injury for a while. Let's see how long that one was for. 2 to 3 months. So, yeah, he's out for a while. I don't really want to bring someone in unless there's a really good deal out there. I don't want to give up pieces to try and contend when we're not going to contend. I just don't think we're good enough. We definitely can get closer to 500, but I don't think at this point there's enough time for us to get into playoff contention. So right now we have Jason Martin playing left field for us, who hasn't really done much. I don't really expect him to either. I'm not even sure. Has he played yet? Yeah, he hasn't even played for us yet. That Benintendi injury was relatively recent. Austin Hedges, he finally hit some home runs, but he's still not batting good. We don't really have any other options. Jonathan LaCroix we called up from the minors to be just a backup catcher for us since the Sam Huff trade. And then Isaiah has been really surprising since he came back. 16 games, 48 plate appearances, and he's batting 400 with a 426 on base. No home runs yet, but he's been really good in that 9 slot. I'm going to keep him there as long as he can stay hot because second base has been horrible for us this year. That's the position that we have a huge hole at, and he's filled it really, really well, so he's going to stay there as long as he can keep it up. Billy Hamilton's been a good piece for us off the bench as a pinch runner, and he actually doesn't have a bad bat, 368 on base, and he can steal some bases. I've been happy with him as our bench as a bench piece, really. DJ Peters has been decent, nothing too special. We brought in Starlin Castro. We released Robinson Cano. He wasn't doing good for us, so I just released him. Starlin Castro was also a minor league signing, and I called him up. He hasn't really performed, but he's the only backup infielder we have right now. And I already went over Jonathan LaCroix. There's not much else really to go over. Yeah, I don't see too much else. We have some money available if we wanted to make a few moves, but like I was saying, Blake Snell's making the 3rd most money on this team. It's going to be the 2nd most next year. So he's definitely open to be traded. We'll see how he does. If he can get consistent, then we're not going to trade him. But if he stays up and down like this, then we're probably going to trade him and see what we can get. I don't think we would trade Correa. We definitely wouldn't trade Stanton with how little he's making and how much he produces. So no, we're not going to pick up this option, but he's probably safe the rest of this year. I don't see any other moves that we'd need to make outside of bringing in other pieces. There's no one I want to get rid of at this point. In the minors, we have a lot of guys. This guy that we brought in actually has been doing really, really well, or he did really, really well in Double-A, and he was doing good in Triple-A. But in Double-A, he hit 385 with a 474 on base, 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, and his ratings aren't even that bad. His contact's just really low. Everything else I could definitely see playing well in the majors. So he might be a piece that gets called up later in the year if we need a second baseman and we're just trying to put guys out there. And then we have a lot of bullpen arms down here still. You know, we have Justin Anderson, obviously, who hasn't been good, but we also have Kyle Cody, who I haven't given a chance to. Durbin Feltman, I gave a chance to, and he's done pretty good. Brett Martin, I haven't given a chance to. Spencer Patton, obviously I sent him down, but he's been recovering a little bit in AAA, so maybe I'll call him up. Manuel Rodriguez, who I was talking about, he might have a shot. Colby Alex have a shot in that long relief role, or maybe even as a starter. Yadier Alvarez, I'm not sure if he's going to get the call-up this year. If we need starting pitching, then sure, but outside of that, I don't know if he's going to get the call-up. And then Jorge Mateo has actually been really good in AAA, so he might get the call up really soon if Starling Marte, if we decide to get rid of him, because he's hitting 362 with a 373 on base so far in AAA. So he's deserving of a call up. We just need to find space for him. Besides that, I think we're good just to move on with the video. I'm probably just going to catch up way down the line. We might even be into June by the time I catch up. So I'll see you guys next time I have something else to report. Alright, here we are on June 1st. As you can see, we are still doing horrible this year. So there's a lot to go over. First, we'll go over these messages. We made a trade for Adam Duvall to fill in that left field position for us because Benintendi's injured for a while. He's really just here to fill the gap. He's not anything that great. He can hit some home runs. As you can see for us, he hasn't been anything that great. He's just there, really. Decent defense, decent bat. That's really the whole goal there. We also get a prospect here. He looks pretty decent. He's 24 already, but he looks pretty good. You know, he's going to hopefully be good in the minors, I guess. I'm not really sure if he's ever going to make it to the majors with the guys that are in front of him, but he looks pretty good. And we only give up, nobody. We give up nobody pretty much. Half-star overalls, not even 2-star potential. So I was fine with making that trade. And we get a better prospect in return. Next, we have an interesting trade right here between Seattle and Miami. They trade Joey Gerber for Jesus Luzardo, which I thought was really interesting for both sides. I would have loved to have gotten Jesus Luzardo, but unfortunately, I didn't think about it, and they end up getting him in Seattle, so that's interesting for them. Next, we have our next move. We trade away Nate Lowe and one of our pitching prospects right here, nothing special, which is basically what I give away. When I give away prospects, it's not going to be anything that great, and we get a lot of prospects in return. I was really happy with this return. We get a 27-year-old relief pitcher who looks like he's going to be pretty well-rounded, nothing too special. Hopefully he can help us a little bit. We've already called him up for one game. He wasn't anything great. I'm pretty sure he gave up 1 run. I'm not too sure, though. Might have been 3. But he's going to be a well-rounded bullpen piece, so I was happy with getting him. And then we also get another bullpen piece right here. He's nothing that great either, but he could be something that could help us in the future, which is what I was going for. We get another one right here. He doesn't have quite the overall right now, but he still has the potential. He's going to be another well-rounded piece. He's not going to be lights out or anything, but we got 3 guys right there that could help us in the future. And then the main piece I wanted from this was Marcus Wilson right here. He's looking like he's going to be a really good center fielder. In AAA right now, he hasn't been too bad. He doesn't really have the power to really perform that great, but he gets on base at a decent rate. Hopefully he can be a future center fielder for us because Leote has not been good enough for us. And then we also get $11 million in cash right here, which was huge for me. I think this was a steal for us. Nate Lowe was not doing good for us. He hasn't been doing good for Chicago either. So I love this deal for us. We get a bunch of prospects for a guy that we weren't even using, as well as some cash. Next, we move on to this small trade, but I definitely liked it. We give up a prospect, once again, a nobody prospect, and we get Seth Lugo, who was having a great year with the Mets, 1.88 ERA. They were looking to get rid of him. I'm pretty sure he's on the trading block. And then we also get $1 million in cash along with Seth Lugo here. I just wanted to get him. He was available. We need more veteran presence in that bullpen, hopefully to shore it up, which it's definitely been performing better recently. But unfortunately, our starting pitching has not been performing at all, so there's no reason for me to even have a good bullpen. So that's been unfortunate, but this is a good trade right here. I love that we found this trade. He is in last year of his contract, but if he wants to come back for $2 or $3 million, I'd be more than happy to do that. Next, we have Anthony DeSclafani here. We signed him to a 1-year deal, I believe. We'll take a look. Yeah, it's a 1-year deal. I really just brought him in because our starting pitching was just really, really underperforming. He hasn't really performed either, but we'll take a look at his game logs right here. He's pitched 2 games for us. He went 4 innings, giving up 5 earned runs the first game. The next one was 6 2/3 for 4 earned runs, which is definitely better. It's a step in the right direction. He's not a strikeout guy, but if he could just maybe go 5 or 6 innings with 3 earned runs, I'd be more than happy with that. And I think he's definitely capable of that. So hopefully he can get more consistent and be another veteran for us, especially in that starting pitching role, which we lack a lot of guys. I'll go over that in just a little bit. But we'll just finish up these real fast. Noah Syndergaard signs with the Nationals, $29 million over 1 year, huge deal. Middle of the season move is really interesting. Miguel Rojas signs a $63 million over 5 year deal extension with the Oakland Athletics. And then lastly, Young-Ho Lee wins Rookie of the Month, which is no surprise. He's been unstoppable. I'm almost positive he's going to be an all-star this year. One of the best signings of the offseason, if not the best. He's been huge for us, and he is easily probably our best batter on the team. Maybe Carlos is up there. We'll go look at that right now, actually. We'll go look at everybody's stats. As you can see, Young-Ho right here with a 134 OPS plus, 6 home runs on the year, batting .323 with .365 on base is amazing. Next, we have Stanton, who's fallen off a lot, .271 average, .337 on base, but he does lead the team in home runs. He started off super hot to start the year, but he's fallen off a lot. He hasn't really hit a home run in a while, but he's still probably he's the third best batter on our team at the moment, probably. Then Carlos Correa, probably the best, if not the second best offensive player on our team. .342 average, .405 on base. Those are MVP numbers right there to go along with 11 home runs and 33 RBIs. He's been amazing. Our offseason moves have been amazing. We bring in Carlos. He's played amazing. Stanton, Young-Ho Lee, they've all been amazing. They've been our best players, to no one's surprise probably. And then we also have some guys we called up throughout the year that have been with us. Jorge Mateo started the year with us, played awful. Ever since he got called up for the last 12 or 13 games, he's hit over 300. He's hit a home run, which is surprising to me. I did not expect him to hit a home run. But he's been really good. He's batting in that 9th slot right now, and I love him there. He's been perfect. Josh Young, he doesn't really have the power that I want, but he gets on base really, really well. He has, high average. The OPS plus is a little bit, worrying for me, but I think once that power comes around eventually in his career, he's going to be really good for us. He just still needs to develop. He's only 24, so I'm not surprised that I am surprised that he's performing this well, but I'm not surprised that he isn't fully complete like some other players on our team. I've been really happy with him in that third base position. I thought that was going to be one we were going to be needing to upgrade pretty soon into the season, but he's been really solid for us, so I've been happy with him. Next, we have Miguel Sano. He hasn't been the power I quite wanted with our team, but he's been fine. He actually is pretty clutch when it comes to late game, and he's out to bat, and there's runners in scoring position. One of our last 3 games, I think it was 3 games ago probably, it was a 9th inning tie game, runner on second. He hits the go-ahead RBI, which isn't probably the first time he's done that. I just feel like he's been clutch for us. Despite his stats, he's been really good. Next, we have Isaiah, who I moved to the catching position because our catchers just weren't performing, and Isaiah can play some catcher according to this, so I was fine with that. He gets on base. He has a high average. He doesn't really hit home runs, but he gets on base more than enough. He can steal a couple bases here and there. He's not super elite like Leote is, or even Jorge has been really good this year too. 8 stolen bases. And then lastly, Adam Duvall, like I said, he hasn't been that great for us. He's just really there for now. We don't really have any prospects that I feel would perform better or use the time more. I mean, maybe once we get to the trade deadline, we'll see where our record's at, and then we'll go from there with who we call up, who gets more minutes, who gets more time. Next, we move over to the pitching side. Starting pitching has been awful. John King, Blake Snell, both went back-to-back games, giving up grand slams in the first inning with less than an out, and then also just ended up giving up more than 6 earned runs in the first inning. And we've had to use Dane Dunning, Clay Holmes, and Kyle Cody for so much of the game once we take them out in that first or second inning. And they've all been doing good. I would say Dane's been the worst of all of them, but Kyle Cody has been amazing. As you can see, 3.38 ERA. He's been really good for us. I've been very impressed with him with these 2 games. Almost 4 innings, 2 earned runs, almost 2 innings, 1 earned run. For the situation that we put him in, it's very impressive that that's all he gave up, and he's been really good. Clay Holmes has been, doing what we expect him to. That's really it. Seth, he had 1 bad game from when we traded for him, but ever since then he's been doing good. This game right here, the 1 earned run, or the 3 earned runs in the 1 inning. But every other game for us, he's been pretty good, almost lights out, I would say. And then the rest of our guys, Jordan Sheffield has the lowest ERA on our team right now, but he doesn't really come in high leverage situations as much. It's mostly just tie games, maybe 6th inning, sometimes when we're up a run or 2. He's been really good, though, despite not being, one of the setup guys or the closer. I've been really impressed with him. DeMarcus Evans and Jonathan Hernandez, I think they both went through rough patches, but hopefully they're coming around. Same with Joe Barlow. He just doesn't really get the opportunity as much, but he's proven himself a lot when we put him in. He's had a few bad games, but you can't really blame him too much for that. Our bullpen's just been up and down this year. Hopefully they're coming around, but this pitching on the starting side hasn't been great. Tyler Wells has been, amazing since we acquired him. Francis Martez has been really good. The past few games, I believe. We can go take a look at his game log. Okay, so this last game, the second to last game wasn't good, but the one before that was good. His last game was good. His 4 games ago was good. 5 games ago was good. He's just been good. Probably the last 5 games, honestly, hasn't even been that bad outside of this 1 game right here. So I've been really impressed with him. He's brought that ERA down a lot, 4.33. Hopefully he can get sub 4 in the next 3 or 4 games. That'd be really, really, really good for us. And then hopefully these guys can just come around a little bit more. I don't really want to call up any starting pitching prospects just yet. I don't think anybody's ready. But if we have to, we will, especially on this long relief side. If our pitchers are just going to keep giving up grand slams in the first inning, there's not much more I can do besides call up guys to fill innings, which really sucks. We can take a look at the last 2 games. We went on a 5-game losing streak here. Then we won 2 in a row, which I was really impressed with. And then these last 2 games right here, both the games I'm talking about with the grand slams and 6 earned runs in the first inning, hasn't been good. I feel like we're really up and down as a team. We win some games, then we lose a bunch of games, then we win some games, and then we lose some games. And it's just unfortunate that we can't just keep on a hot streak. It would really help us, but that's going to do it for the video. We're probably going to go ahead in between episodes and simulate some more, probably get closer to the trade deadline. And then once we're at the trade deadline, that's when we're going to decide. We're going to have to look at our record and see whether or not we're going to sell some pieces, buy some pieces. We'll see. Hopefully we're buying pieces and not selling. Hopefully we can hit a hot streak. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, and I'll see you guys next episode.